You know how some plots feel like they just had to happen? Like every beat locks into the next one, and there's no way it could have gone any other way. And then some plots, even ones that are packed with exciting stuff like explosions, car chases, whatever, they just kind of feel like flat, like just a list of random things happening. And the difference between those two, it's not talent. I really don't think it is. It's just one simple thing. And honestly, once you see it, you can't unsee it. In this video, we're talking about causality. It's a chain of cause and effect that takes a list of events and turns it into a story that actually feels like it just had to happen. And by the end of this, you're going to understand why some plots feel just like totally random, even when they're stuffed full of action. And more importantly, exactly how to fix a draft that's already kind of just turned into a list of just stuff happening one after the other. Welcome, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Daniel, and this is The Story Renaissance. Okay, so there's this one simple idea that honestly changed the way I build a plot. And here's the funny thing. It doesn't come from some famous novelist or a screenwriting professor or anything like that. It comes from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys that do South Park. And what they say is this. When you're mapping out your story, if your beats connect with the words and then, you're in trouble. But if they connect with the words therefore or the word but, then you're onto something. And here's what that means. So and then is just order, right? This happens and then this happens and then this other thing happens. The events are all on a line, sure. The line is basically random. You could just shuffle them around and honestly, not much would change. Therefore, on the other hand, that's cause and effect. This happens, therefore this happens. Each event is caused by the one right before it. And now you can't just move them around because each one needs the one that came before it. And then, but, it's kind of the other engine here. This happens, but something gets in the way. Therefore, the character's got to do something about it. That right there, that's conflict and consequence, just kind of pushing each other forward. So take Breaking Bad. That whole show is built almost entirely out of therefore and but. Walt gets a cancer diagnosis. Therefore, he needs money, and he needs it fast. Therefore, he starts cooking meth, because it's the one skill he's got that could actually make that kind of money. But he doesn't know the criminal world at all. Therefore, he partners up with Jesse, his former student, who does. But then their first cook goes sideways, and his rival dealers find them. Therefore, Walt's got to make this impossible choice just to survive. And you see it? Every single link in that chain is a therefore or a but. None of it is and then. And that's exactly why the whole thing feels like it just had to happen. Because each event is the direct result of the one right before it. You're not sitting there just waiting for things to happen. You're watching things cause each other. And that right there is the difference between a list and a story. A list is and then. A story is therefore. And I'm telling you, once you can hear that difference, you're going to start hearing it everywhere, especially, and this is the painful part, in your own drafts. But okay, knowing the difference is one thing. The harder question, one I really want to get into, is why does your brain default to and then in the first place? And look, defaulting to and then does not mean you're a bad writer, okay? I want to be very clear about that. It's just kind of what the brain does under pressure. Picture it. You're writing, you're in the zone, and then boom, you hit the end of a scene, and you don't know what comes next. So the easiest thing your brain can do is just reach for something new, a new event, a new problem, a new character walking through the door. And that new thing, it feels exciting in the moment. It gives you something to actually write, which feels great. But here's the problem. It's not caused by anything. It's just next. And a story that's made entirely out of next, that's a story with no spine. And the reason we all default to this is just because therefore is harder. Way harder. Because therefore makes you look backwards before you look forward. It forces you to ask, okay, given everything that's happened, given who this character is and the stuff that they've already done, what would actually come out of this? And that's a way harder question than just what would be cool to happen next, right? It makes you actually work with the story you've already got, instead of just piling more stuff on top of it. The Godfather is a perfect example of what you get when you refuse that easy and then. So think about the restaurant scene, the one where Michael kills Salazzo and the police captain. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, a weaker story would make that moment just a random escalation, like, oh, here's a shocking thing that could just happen out of nowhere. But it isn't random at all, not even a little. Think about the chain. Michael's father gets gunned down in the street. Therefore, the whole family's suddenly exposed. Therefore, somebody's got to strike back. But the obvious guys, the ones you'd expect, they're all being watched. Therefore, it falls to Michael. And Michael's the one son who was supposed to stay clean, remember? He's the war hero. He wanted nothing to do with the family business. So that one choice is caused by everything that came before it, and then it causes everything that comes after. It's the exact moment Michael becomes his father. It doesn't happen because the plot needed a cool twist. It happens because the chain led right there. It had nowhere else to go. So the question is, How do you train yourself out of that default? How do you catch the and then before it sneaks into your draft? So here's the actual practice I want you to use. And I'll be honest with you, really simple to explain, but it's hard to actually do every single time, which, in my experience, is usually a pretty good sign that it's worth doing. So after every major beat in your outline, you ask yourself one question, just one. What does this cause? Not what happens next. That's the trap. But what does this specific event, this specific choice your character made, what does it make happen as a direct result? And if you can answer that, if the next beat is actually the consequence of this one, then congratulations, you're building a chain. But if you can't, if the next thing on your list is just, the next cool idea you happen to have in the shower or whatever, that's a broken link. That broken link is exactly where your plot starts to feel random. And here's the real key to all this. The cause has to run through the character, because the most powerful cause and effect in all of fiction isn't just one event bumping into another one like just a bunch of billiard balls or whatever. It's a character making a choice, and that choice creates a consequence, and that consequence forces another choice. So the chain is really built out of decisions, not just events, which means, when you really think about it, it's built out of who your character actually is deep down. And Hamlet, man, Hamlet is the perfect example of this, because the whole entire play runs through one guy's hesitation. So Hamlet finds out his uncle murdered his dad, but instead of just acting on it, instead of just actually doing something about it, he doubts. He tests it, he delays over and over, because that's just who he is as a person. Therefore, he stages this whole play to make sure he's right. Therefore, his uncle figures out that Hamlet's onto him. Therefore, the danger starts closing in on him. Then he goes and kills the wrong guy behind the curtain. Therefore, Ophelia's father is dead. Therefore, she loses her mind. Therefore, her brother comes charging back for revenge. And every single death in that play you can trace right back to Hamlet's inability to just act. The plot doesn't happen to Hamlet. It happens because of Hamlet, because of the specific guy he is and the choices that only he would make. And that's the reason it never feels random, even after all these hundreds of years. The chain is made out of him. So that's what building the chain actually means. It's not connecting events to events. It's connecting choices to consequences, with your character sitting right there in the middle as the link between them. And when you start doing that, something kind of amazing starts to happen. Something that honestly surprised me the first time I felt it. When your chain is actually working, when each beat is truly causing the next one through your character's choices, the story kind of starts to feel like it's writing itself. And look, I know, okay, that sounds like some kind of woo-woo writer nonsense, right? Like, whoa, the story writes itself, man. But it's not magic, I promise. It's just how this stuff actually works. Because once you've built a really clear character and you've dropped them into a situation they created with their own choices, the next beat is usually pretty obvious. You're not sitting there inventing what happens next anymore. You're kind of just finding it. You ask yourself, okay, given this exact person in this situation they made for themselves, what would they actually do? And the answer is usually sitting right there waiting for you, because you already did the hard work of making that character clear and making the situation feel real. And that's the real payoff of all this cause and effect stuff. And then is exhausting. It just wears you out. Because every single beat is something you've got to invent from scratch, but therefore actually builds energy, because every beat is something the last beat just handed to you. The story starts picking up its own speed, and you stop carrying it, and you start kind of just following it instead. Of Mice and Men shows you this perfectly. And fair warning, spoilers for a book that's like 90 years old at this point, but the ending is honestly one of the most devastating in all of American fiction. And the reason it works, the reason that it absolutely wrecks you, is that every single moment earlier in the book made it inevitable. So Lenny's like this big, strong guy, right? He really doesn't know his own strength. Therefore, he keeps accidentally killing the soft little things he loves. The mice and the puppy. And each one of those moments is kind of getting you ready, so that later, when he's alone with Curly's wife and he panics, you already know what those hands of his can do. Therefore, the tragedy happens. Therefore, George is left with this one impossible choice. And honestly, it's the only act of mercy he's got left to give. And Steinbeck, he's not inventing that ending. Not really. He's kind of collecting it. Every little moment of Lenny's strength earlier was like a payment towards this debt that all comes due at the very end. And the whole thing feels inevitable, because the chain was there the entire time. It was there the whole book. That's the thing you want to be reaching for in your own writing. Not a plot that you have to constantly make up out of thin air. A chain that you can just follow. A story that once you build it right, kind of starts creating its own next move for you. And whenever your draft starts feeling like a list again, and it will, trust me, it happens to all of us. When you catch yourself reaching for the next cool thing instead of the next consequence, just go back to the question, what did the last beat cause? And where exactly did the chain break? It's almost always right there when you go looking. And fixing it is almost always just a matter of turning one little and then into a therefore. Okay, so here's the thing about plot that kind of changes everything once it finally clicks for you. A plot isn't a list of events, it's a list of consequences. And that one difference right there, that's the whole difference between a story that feels made up and a story that feels like it just had to happen. When a reader tells you that your story felt inevitable, which by the way is honestly one of the best compliments anybody can ever give you, they don't mean it was easy to predict. That's not it at all. It means that by the end, every single event felt like it had to be there, like it just couldn't have gone any other way. And that feeling, it doesn't come from the events being super dramatic or shocking. It comes from each one being caused by the last one, running through characters who could only have made the choices that they made. So really, inevitable just means causality, but felt from the end looking back. And here's the part I really need you to understand. I mean, even if you take nothing else from this whole video, an and then plot and a therefore plot can actually have the exact same events in them. The exact same stuff can happen. The difference isn't just what happens, the difference is whether each thing causes the next thing, or whether it just kind of follows it. Same events, completely different feeling. One feels random and honestly tiring to read. The other one feels like it just had to happen. So your job, it's not really to go invent a bunch more exciting events, it's to connect the events you've already got. At every link in that chain, you just ask, does this cause the next thing? Or does it just come before it? If it just comes before it, if it's an and then, well, there's where your story is losing all of its speed. And that right there is where the work is. So build the chain, run it through your characters, and then just let the story start to write itself. Okay, so here's what I want you to actually go and try after this video is over. Take your current outline or your draft, whatever you got, and go through it beat by beat by beat. And between each beat, I want you to say the word that connects them out loud. Yes, out loud. I mean, I know, even if you feel silly doing it. Is it and then, or is it therefore, or but? And mark down every single place where you catch yourself saying and then. Because those right there, those are your broken links. Those are the exact spots where your plot's going to feel random to a reader. But take one of those broken links, don't overwhelm yourself, just one, and ask, what would have to happen earlier in the story for this beat to be caused by what came before it, instead of just following it? That's the whole fix, really. One and then turned into a therefore on its own. Now that you understand this, the next video you need to watch is this one right here about 4 sci-fi books that will give you existential dread. Because the fastest way to train your ear for therefore is to feel it working on you as a reader. And these books don't let go. That can't put it down feeling is the chain pulling you right through the pages. So go watch the masters do it. The 2 videos go hand in hand. I'll see you there.